involving big money and even bigger consequences. Think CEOs, executives, and those fancy folks in suits who make decisions affecting thousands of lives. Now imagine them using their power, not for good but for personal gain, even if it means bending the rules or outright breaking the law. That's the essence of white-collar crime, and it's a lot more common than you might think. These crimes might not involve guns or getaway cars, but they can be just as devastating, if not more so. So, buckle up as we dive deep into the world of white-collar crime, exploring real-life cases, the methods used, and the impact these acts have on all of us. White-collar crime refers to nonviolent crimes committed by individuals, businesses, or government entities for financial gain. It's like cheating on your taxes, but on a much grander scale. These crimes involve deception, fraud, and a whole lot of sneaky maneuvers. Think embezzlement, insider trading, money laundering, and good old-fashioned fraud. The goal? To make a profit, often at the expense of others, be it investors, employees, or the general public. These crimes are often complex and difficult to detect, hidden behind layers of paperwork, legal jargon, and corporate bureaucracy. But don't be fooled by the fancy suits and sophisticated schemes. These acts are criminal and have serious consequences. The case of the vanishing Satyam, a corporate crime story. Remember Satyam, the IT giant that went from market leader to a cautionary tale practically overnight? That, my friends, was a textbook case of white-collar crime gone wrong, costing investors billions and shaking public trust in corporate India. Satyam executives used accounting loopholes and shady partnerships to inflate their profits, making the company seem much healthier than it actually was. They were basically playing a high-stakes game of financial Jenga, and we all know how that ends. When the truth finally came out, the house of cards collapsed, leading to Satyam's downfall, thousands of job losses, and a whole lot of legal trouble for the executives involved. This case highlighted the disastrous impact white-collar crime can have on individuals, businesses, and the economy as a whole. Cooking the books: how white-collar crimes happen. White-collar criminals are masters of deception, using their knowledge and positions to manipulate systems and exploit loopholes. They're like magicians, but instead of pulling rabbits out of hats, they're making money disappear. One common tactic is cooking the books, which involves manipulating financial records to paint a rosier picture than reality. They might inflate revenue, hide expenses, or create fake transactions, all to deceive investors and regulators. Another common method is insider trading, where individuals use confidential information about a company to buy or sell stock before the information becomes public, giving them an unfair advantage in the market. It's like having tomorrow's newspaper delivered today, but instead of headlines, you get stock tips. These are just a few examples of the many ways white-collar criminals operate. They're cunning, they're calculated, and they often know just how to stay one step ahead of the law. Section 5. Beyond the bottom line, the real cost of white-collar crime. White-collar crime might not involve violence in the traditional sense, but its impact is far-reaching and devastating. We're talking billions of dollars lost, shattered retirements, and a loss of faith in the very institutions we rely on. The financial fallout from these crimes can cripple businesses, crash stock markets, and even trigger economic downturns. Remember the Satyam scandal in 2009? That was fueled by corporate fraud and financial misreporting, prime examples of white-collar crime at work. But the true cost goes beyond dollars and cents. It erodes public trust in corporations, government agencies, and even our financial systems. It creates a climate of fear, uncertainty, and cynicism, making it harder for honest businesses to thrive and for individuals to feel secure in their financial futures. Section 6. Bringing down the house of cards, prosecuting white-collar crime. Prosecuting white-collar crime is no walk in the park. It's like trying to catch a greased piglet in a library. It's slippery, complex, and requires a lot of patience and expertise. These cases often involve mountains of evidence, intricate financial transactions, and a whole lot of legal maneuvering. Law enforcement agencies and regulatory bodies like the FBI and the Securities and Exchange Commission are tasked with investigating and prosecuting these complex crimes. They rely on forensic accountants, financial analysts, and legal experts to untangle the web of deceit and build a solid case. The good news is that with persistence, dedication, and the right resources, these criminals can be brought to justice. The Enron case, while devastating, also led to significant reforms in corporate governance and accounting practices. proving that even the most sophisticated schemes can be exposed. Section 7. Staying ahead of the game. Tips for staying informed and vigilant. The best way to combat white-collar crime is to be informed and vigilant. It's like learning the magician's tricks. Once you know how it's done, the illusion loses its power. Start by staying informed about current events, especially those involving financial markets and corporate scandals. Pay attention to news reports, read financial publications, and follow organizations that track white-collar crime. When it comes to your own finances, be cautious and skeptical. Don't fall for get-rich-quick schemes or promises of unrealistic returns. Do your research, ask questions, and if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Section 8. It's not just numbers, the human cost of corporate greed. Behind every white-collar crime statistic are real people whose lives have been turned upside down. Families who lost their savings, employees who lost their jobs, and communities left reeling from the economic fallout. These crimes aren't victimless. They leave a trail of devastation in their wake, reminding us that corporate greed can have a very human cost. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers, the billions lost, and the complex financial schemes. But we must never forget the human impact, the lives shattered, and the trust broken. Section 9. Fight for fairness, demand better from corporations and leaders. The fight against white-collar crime requires a collective effort. We need to demand better from our corporations, our leaders, and ourselves. Support stronger regulations, hold corporations accountable for their actions, and elect officials who prioritize ethical conduct and transparency. We can't afford to be complacent. The fight for fairness and accountability starts with each one of us. Let's work together to create a system where